Our minds are like a huge football stadium that's emptied of the crowd. In the corner, there's a small radio making a lot of noise. Now, obviously, our attention goes towards the radio, and we listen and we think, hey, this is a very noisy stadium. Well, it's just a radio. Now, obviously, this story is an analogy for this strange experience that's happening here inside of and outside of us right now. The radio is the 1% of the tool here that our attention goes to. It just makes a lot of noise inside of the vastness of the silence of the stadium. The vastness of the silence, the vast silence of the stadium is obviously an analogy for the infinite field of consciousness, where the true essence of who we are lies. So what we gotta stop doing, the big human error, is listening to the very small radio, the 1%, and saying, hey, that's me, that's who I am. No, that's not who you are. That is just the collection of experiences, judgments, systems that you created in this small time that you were here, at least in this life, in this body. So that's easy. Now you've become enlightenment. Welcome here. Welcome in the enlightenment states of consciousness. No, it's not that easy, but it is something that we can contemplate in our minds. You can just start thinking, hey, how much of the time have I been listening to the radio? Do I believe that the radio, in other words, the ego, is me, is all there is? Because I love to break it to you, it is not. There's a infinite field out there for you to explore, and you can actually go as far as you ever wanted. There's just a couple of things to, well, not keep in mind when exploring. Probably I'm a bit too vague and too broad here in my bold claims about life, about consciousness. But let's just take a break and think about how much time in our day we spend thinking about the past and the future. This is something that the ego loves to do. Now, why does it love to do this? From now, I would like to call it a tool, by the way. Why does the tool like to do this? Well, because, okay, quickly going to break in here, because in my flow of dialogue, I sometimes tend to forget where I was actually going and just, climbing onto something else that is obviously also of equal value. But sometimes I'm just not finishing what I started, and that could be quite frustrating for the audience, as I love you guys. So, what I wanted to say here is that the ego, it loves to do this, live in the past, live in the future, as I'm going to explain a little bit later here. And why does it love this? That's the question I asked myself, and that is because in here the ego ceases to be. Because if purely living in here, the ego isn't needed, well, maybe for contemplating something or planning something. It's a handy tool, but it's not our functioning system. It's not us. It's not I. It's not the complete being. Now that's the reason it ceases to be. Okay, let's continue. In the here, in the now, newsflash, this is the only moment there's ever gonna be. Past and future are just an illusion, because there's never ever going to be another moment than this moment here, as time is just an illusion and is here to benefit our survival, but it's just a perception. It's not the absolute truth. So what we do a lot of times in the day, we think about, oh, could have done this, could have done that. We dwell on things. And we think about the future. Oh, I have this problem. I have this situation. And how am I going to solve that in God's name? I have no clue. And being busy with these two things, these two illusionary things, we totally forget to be where we are, to actually live this crazy experience that we can experience, right? It's a beautiful thing, life. And it's just a shame that we spend so much time living in a time that is not it's not there. This is the only moment there is. So, how are we going to do this? How are we going to stop living in the past and the future? In the beginning, or the whole process is quite easy. Just notice. Notice when you are dwelling on something. Notice when you're stuck on a problem in the future. Listen. With every problem, when it needs to be solved, everything, every material, person, skill, whatever you need to solve the problem, it is going to be there when the problem is due to be solved. There's no need at all to worry about those things. Think about your past, okay? How many times did I think, oh, I have a problem, I've got this to do, but I don't have these things. Well, I'm still here. There's nothing to worry about. Magically, all those problems have just solved themselves. That's crazy, right? Well, that is because all the things that are the solution are there when the problem is due to be solved. And it has always been that way. And that's just a reality. It's extremely comforting to think this way. And it's beautiful. Absolutely. Because everything will fall into place in and of itself. So, okay. Now let's get back to how to live here. And it's one thing, and it's called meditation. And I'm not saying that you have to sit like this all day. But basically, you can just practice noticing when we slip. When we just slip into our light sleep, as I'd like to call it, throughout our days. It happens to me a lot of the times. I have a job that has very tasks that are quite boring, if I can put it like that, like vacuum cleaning, for example. I'm not really busy with vacuum cleaning. It goes on autopilot. That's a time when we just like to, kind of doze off into the past, into the future, into thinking about stuff, thinking what other people think of us. And those are the times when you need to focus on your task, or just notice and explore the stillness that is the infinite field of this consciousness that we all are. And it's beautiful, and you can, as I said, go as far into this as you want, but at least just allow yourself to actually be here instead of being everywhere else. I think that's a lot of wisdom that we just explored, and I really hope that helps you. It helps me a lot, and we're all together on this journey. All the love, all the power. Have a good day. Enjoy life.